Megyn is one of the most savage journalists at this point. I mean, she has put out over 10 hours of content handing out reality checks to Blake Lively. And we know you might have missed many of these hilarious takedowns, because who has time to watch all that?
This person is not an honest broker. I believe her less than ever. I actually disbelieve her fully now. And they should not be gagged. I will happily participate in releasing any further leaks that they have, because the truth should be out there. What does she have to fear if she's telling the truth?
But don't worry, because here's Megyn Kelly giving Blake pure, unfiltered reality checks and uninterrupted. And you'll be shocked to find out that the real villain in this whole mess might not be Baldoni or even Blake. Someone else is pulling the strings, but we'll come back to that. Let's start off with number 1, Kelly calling Blake a serial fraudster. Now everybody knows Blake's been throwing legal punches at Justin Baldoni left and right, but according to Megyn, the one getting KO'd is the Hollywood sweetheart herself. Here's what she said. She has started a fight she cannot win. She does appear like an Amber Heard to me.
I don't know. She's made herself into Amber Heard. We all see it. This was a massive disaster for her to unleash this PR campaign against him, which, by the way, Brian Friedman told us she started. She was the one through her PR agent who was dropping negative stories about Justin, not the other way around. She played with fire, and now she got burned.
We all know getting called Amber 2.0 is Hollywood's code for girl, you're screwed. Megyn then went ahead and called her a serial fraudster and a rather person for good measure. Brutal, but accurate.
So she's a serial fraudster. That's called fraud. When you pretend you want to do the one thing and you'll do the thing they're hiring you for, but all along you have secret plans to do something very, very different that's above your pay grade.
Yeah, girl did her homework and pulled out a 2022 clip of Blake at some fancy Forbes Power Women's Summit. Blake was up there talking about how she sometimes takes acting jobs, then later goes, surprise, I actually want to run the whole movie.
When I went in the meetings, I would just seem like I'm just there to be the actor and ready to get the gig. I wouldn't reveal that I actually need to have authorship in order to feel fulfilled. So I think that for them, sometimes that might have felt like a rug pull because you're like, you're trying to assert yourself into something that we didn't hire you to do.
Megyn was not impressed. She called it straight up fraud. Clearly, Blake tricked Baldoni into giving her creative control over the movie, even though she was just supposed to act.
She wrested his movie away from him and decided to try to hurt him with petty, made-up, out-of-context complaints when he pushed back even in the mildest way, and that she and her husband are bullies.
So she basically bullied Baldoni into letting her run the show, because let's be real, she's way more famous. Poor Baldoni was probably just trying to direct a movie without getting steamrolled by Serena van der Woodsen. Now Megyn thinks Lively's whole Hollywood sweetheart brand is getting completely wrecked, and here's what the fans are thinking. Honestly, Blake Lively, the queen of cute rom-coms and Met Gala slays, getting publicly bodied by Megyn Kelly, that's pretty amusing now. And you know Hollywood is all about that image. One bad headline and suddenly you're Lindsay Lohan circa 2010 spending more time in court than on a movie set. So Blake might want to call her PR team ASAP. Because right now, it's looking less gossip girl and more courtroom girl. Number 2, the Nothing Burger. In another one of her episodes, Kelly called Blake's harassment allegations a nothing burger. By this, she meant there was a whole lot of BS but zero meat.
She, time and time again, she accuses him of doing something, which then when you hear the full context is an absolute nothing burger. She
zoomed in on leaked videos, and after analyzing every frame, Megyn's verdict was clear. I have yet to see one of her complaints borne out. The leaked footage in question shows interactions between Blake and Justin that appear pretty lovey-dovey, contradicting the hostile environment Blake describes. In fact, it makes you think if they were getting a little too cozy. The footage showed Blake and Justin being, well, let's just say co-workers. No screaming matches, no chair throwing, none of that reality TV gold we were promised by Blake. This obviously left Megyn side-eyeing her version of events. It just didn't really add up at all.
And it's all in good fun. She laughs and says, oh, did you get beard on me? She doesn't say, oh my God, you nuzzled me and said that I smell good. This is what she's done throughout. Us to believe this is actionable what we just witnessed there. You tell me whether that's what that looks like to you.
The only side making sense to people after watching the leaked footage was Mr. Baldoni's. Here's what a fan wrote. Now, Hollywood has been here before. Remember the #MeToo era? It gave a lot of people the courage to speak up, which was awesome. But it also stirred up some sticky debates. Like when Aziz Ansari got accused and suddenly the whole world was arguing about what counts as a bad date versus actual harassment. So what Megyn's basically saying here is that we gotta separate the real cases from the messy ones, or no one's gonna take any of this seriously. Obviously, all this didn't work out great for Blake. She claims that Baldoni's smear campaign has basically nuked her business, causing a massive 78% sales drop. That's not just a bad quarter, that's literally call the accountant and cry territory. But Megyn, being Megyn, was not buying it, and she asked the question we were all thinking. Are you sure this is all Justin's fault? Because let's be real, brands don't usually fall off a cliff that hard just because one guy said something mean. Megyn threw out some possibilities. Maybe it's market trends. Maybe it's bad management. Maybe people just don't like the products anymore. Ever think of that, Blake?
She's absolutely ruined her brand. She has started a fight she cannot win. She does appear like an Amber Heard to me. I have yet to see one of her complaints borne out. In fact, all of the ones I've seen have been undermined by his hardcore proof in text messaging and so on that puts a totally different light on her horrific allegations. Then you see what she actually said and wrote. It's very different.
Look, Paula Deen's empire crumbled after her racism scandal, but diet trends were shifting too. You know, the whole gluten-free life. Sometimes it's not one big villain, it's death by 1,000 avocado toasts. Number 4, subpoenaed. Meanwhile, over in the legal department, Blake and her husband Ryan Reynolds decided to go full CSI. They hit Justin with subpoenas. Their goal was to find those smoking gun texts that prove Justin was out here ruining Blake's life and business in group chats. Justin's legal team, though, was not impressed. They clapped back like, oh, please. His lawyer called it a media ploy, accusing Blake and Ryan of turning their lawsuit into a Netflix drama that no one asked for. Subpoenas are a classic legal move, but they can get messy real quick. Sure, they might find evidence, or they might just find Justin texting his mom about brunch. It's a gamble. Also, subpoenas can get nosy, like digging through your texts from 3 years ago. Hard pass. Legal analysts have already started saying Blake and Ryan might be doing a little too much. And I'm telling you guys, Blake does have a reputation for wanting to do too much. Megyn's Blake's a bossy pants theory. Megyn decided to dig up some old interviews where Blake proudly said she likes to be involved in everything, from wardrobe to script rewrites to what color the set walls should be.
For me, that I wanted to be a part of the storytelling, that I wanted to be a part of the narrative, whether that be in the writing, in the costume design, in creating the character.
This made Megyn think, oh, so maybe it wasn't harassment. Maybe Blake was just being a bit much.
Blake Lively was no victim here. She was in control, she was in power, and she took over this film.
Actors who try to run the whole show tend to ruffle feathers. This isn't harassment, it's Hollywood egos clashing like bumper cars. And look, Megyn has a point. Hollywood history is full of stars who got labeled difficult for being a little too hands-on. Do you remember Katherine Heigl? 1 minute, she was America's sweetheart. The next, she trashed Grey's Anatomy and Knocked Up, and Hollywood was like, okay, you can go sit over there. Man, this Blake versus Justin drama is no longer just a lawsuit, it's a proper reality show. We've got sales drama, subpoenas, and a leading lady who may or may not be the next Katherine Heigl. Honestly, this is better than the movies they've made. While Blake's husband has been riding into his legal drama like a knight in shiny abs, Megyn couldn't help but wonder if he's actually making things worse. Legal pros agree that having someone like Ryan involved can crank up media attention to 100, which makes a quiet settlement pretty much impossible. Now everyone's watching, and Baldoni might feel backed into a corner. Megyn also pointed out that Ryan's squeaky clean, funny guy brand could take a hit if this lawsuit spirals any further. Right now, we all love him for his jokes and gin commercials, but if things get uglier, even his sarcasm might not be able to save his image. But what about poor Justin in all this? Baldoni, victim or villain? He's either the guy getting totally railroaded or he's secretly the villain of the story. Depends on who you ask. Megyn spent a lot of time giving Justin's side of things, making it clear she thinks he might be getting dragged through the mud unfairly.
He's a man, but he's to me is sort of the embodiment of what happens when you totally emasculate a man. And then she continued, she took that stiletto and stuck it in his heart when he was down there self-flagellating, being so sorry for anything having to do with his testosterone. And so that's what happens to you, right? You run into somebody who seems like a witch who will take advantage of you and hurt you until finally even that kind of a guy.
Justin's fans were quick to back him up. This is the guy who wrote a whole book called Man Enough about being a good dude and ditching toxic masculinity. He's spent years telling men to be kind and vulnerable, so I mean... Although he has literally escaped to paradise and is surfing in Hawaii as all of this unfolds back at home. If he's innocent, this lawsuit could trash his reputation anyway. If he's not, well, I hope he ends up in a nasty prison. Megyn's leaning toward Justin being more victim than villain, but she knows this is Hollywood, where things are never that simple, so we'll have to wait and see. But for now, here's Megyn's final verdict. Nobody is really winning in this situation. After pouring 10+ hours into dissecting every text, video, and passive-aggressive Instagram post, Megyn's final take is basically that this is a mess and everyone's losing. Okay, maybe Blake's losing a little bit more. But the thing is, while Blake's brand is tanking, Justin's reputation is also getting dragged. And Ryan, he's stuck in the middle, probably wishing he could Deadpool jump out of this whole situation. On the flip side, Candace Owens is of the opinion that Ryan is actually the real villain here, not Blake, not Baldoni. Owens said she received a tip from someone who worked on the set of It Ends With Us, according to their mysterious insider, who, let's be clear, remains anonymous and unverified, so take it with a grain of salt. Ryan and Blake had a blowout argument in her trailer one day. Owens claimed that Ryan, angry as hell, stormed off and contacted their shared talent agency, WME, demanding they drop Justin Baldoni from their roster. And guess what? WME even complied, cutting Baldoni loose like he was last season's Netflix show that no one watched. Candace thinks Ryan is insecure and unhinged. Her reasoning was his dating history. She pointed out that both of Ryan's high-profile relationships, first with Scarlett Johansson, then Blake Lively, were with women nearly a decade younger than him. According to Owens, that age gap is part of a pattern driven by insecurity. She even brought up Scarlett's past comments about their marriage, where ScarJo hinted that Ryan's jealousy was a big reason they split. Remember when Tom Cruise jumped on Oprah's couch like a caffeinated kangaroo over Katie Holmes? Or when Kanye West interrupted Taylor Swift's speech because Beyonce had the best video of all time? Yeah, powerful men losing their cool in public is practically a rite of passage in Hollywood. But this raises some big questions. While Blake and Baldoni are still duking it out, and Megyn isn't about to stop dragging Little Miss Hollywood sweetheart through the mud, what do you think? Did Blake actually have a problem with Justin, or did her husband see something he didn't like?
To your point about the alleged, tension between these two, if you look at the full complaint, there are texts between them that go on and on about their connection and how he really likes her. He loves this version of her, but he loves the other version of her too, at 11 o'clock at night. And I'm telling you, it's felt flirty to me.
Yeah.
I'm like...
Drop your take in the comments, and if you're craving more celebrity drama, hit that subscribe button and do not miss the next video.